Disclaimer. The content in this episode reflects the professional opinions of a registered dietitian for educational purposes only. It does not constitute medical, pharmaceutical, or financial advice. Enjoy the podcast. Do you feel like people are eating more so because of emotions versus the nutritional aspect of it?
I do. I think that's a big thing that we have to start looking at, and it's very much not looked at because the way our food system and our foods are now, they are created in a lab to make you want them more and more and more.
What is the actual dangerous parts of the long-term use of Ozempic?
We're slowing down digestion. And a lot of people are suffering from constipation. Sorry, you got shit sitting in there too long. You're messing up your gut. You're decreasing the amount you eat so much, you're losing muscle mass. I see this girl who looks great and she says, this is what I eat in a day. And I think I'm going to take what she eats, eat it just the same, and I'm going to end up looking like her. No, you're not.
What's going on, beautiful world? And welcome to another episode of the Black Sheep Perspective. Today's amazing guest is Sarah Weiss. She's a registered dietitian, nutrition, entrepreneur, and someone whose journey into health and wellness began long before she ever stepped out or into a classroom. Growing up, Sarah struggled with emotional eating and being overweight herself. Like many people, food became more than just nutrition. It became comfort, coping, and a way to deal with life's challenges. Eventually, she found herself pursuing a completely different path, graduating and entering into the world of finance as a stockbroker. But despite her profession and her success, something was missing. After transforming her own health and surrounding herself with a healthier network of people, Sarah made a bold decision and walked away from the corporate world. She went back to school and earned a degree in nutrition, and ultimately she built a business dedicating to helping people create healthier relationships with food, fitness, and themselves. And in today's episode, we dive deep into some of the biggest questions and hottest topics surrounding health, weight loss, and nutrition. Not to mention, you gotta stick around to the end where we get Sarah's hot take on trends like Ozempic. So, if you've ever struggled with your weight, battled cravings, felt frustrated with diets, or wondered why lasting changes seem so difficult, this conversation is packed with insight that can completely change the way you look at health and nutrition. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this conversation with Sarah Weiss. Let's get to the podcast. Sarah Weiss, thank you for joining us on the podcast. This is a conversation that we definitely need to have. You're going to help a lot of women out today, but you're also going to help out men as well. But I know that your specialty is working with women, and they need to hear a lot of what we're going to talk about, as well as people who struggle with nutritional decisions. And, I kind of been on this note where I feel like people, the reason that they have these eating issues, it seems like it's not from laziness. It seems like it's not from lack of knowledge, because it's all out there. All these fitness experts, ChatGPT, you Gronk, you name it, you can find it all out. So it's not about lack of information. It's definitely a little bit of lack of discipline, yes, but where does it stem from? And I think that's a great way to go into this podcast. Do you feel like people are eating more so because of emotions versus the nutritional aspect of it?
I do. I think that's a big thing that we have to start looking at, and it's very much not looked at because we hyper-focus on the food and the exercise and be more disciplined, have more willpower. But at the end of the day, there's something deeper that's keeping them from actually doing it. We do know what to do. There isn't a lack of information at all. There's way too much information, in fact.
Right.
So it's how do we implement that, and why are we not implementing that? And usually the why we're not implementing that is a lot of emotions. Of course, crazy schedules and life is crazy now, but what about the emotional part of it? Food is an outlet for emotions.
This was one of the biggest things that really made me happy about us doing this podcast. I mean, I was already happy once we connected. Nutritionist, this is your expertise. We got to talk about this. We're going to address the calories in versus calories out. We're going to talk about Ozempic. We're going to talk about do's and don'ts. There's a lot of amazing topics that we're going to talk about. But one of the biggest reasons why I was so happy to have you on is I love when people have a certain amount of credibility, a certain amount of authority. Basically, you didn't just talk about it, you walked through it. Mm-hmm. You didn't just see the pair of shoes, you wore them. You know, you don't just tell people how to lose weight. You lost it.
Yeah.
You lost it. You have your own stories. You have your own, and this is one of the reasons why you got into this. And this is, you know, how we're going to talk about it. But what was your emotional struggle when you were younger? Take us back to a younger Sarah and walk us through what is it that had you eating emotionally that eventually led to an overweight Sarah and then eventually trickles on to the decisions you made in your life.
Yeah, this is one of the questions I always get, of course, how to get into this. And I said this to you especially, but how far back do you want me to go, right? And I always say that because for me now, looking back, I realize this went way back into my childhood. And I had this unstable childhood, a lot of chaos in the home. And eventually I started coping with that with food. Food was that connection, that comfort, that safety for me. And that led me to a life of gaining weight and having to go through that journey that we're talking about of struggling with food and weight and those things. So my story starts way back in childhood that led me not just to being a dietitian, but through that challenge of being overweight and having to overcome that first and realizing, wow, there's a lot here that's way deeper than just I wasn't eating great and I wasn't exercising. So yeah, for me, it goes way back to childhood and that environment that I grew up in.
You say that right, and I want to give you the get you ready for what's coming in regards on my behalf. You know, throughout this podcast, I'm definitely going to have to ask questions for the naysayers. I'm going to have to ask questions for the people who are skeptical about it or who want to challenge, you know, what it is you say, right? And I also love you challenging people. We talked about, I know we're going to mention Rhonda Patrick and certain beliefs that you believe that she doesn't believe and so on and so forth. But when you grew up in a chaotic household, some people are going to hear that and they're going to be like, what chaos? You're a beautiful little clear-eyed white girl. What chaos did you go through? You know, where are you from? You know, you're successful. You're doing good. So not that you have to disclose all kind of bits and pieces of your personal story, but what type of chaos are we discussing that throws people off where they start eating emotionally? Because I want people to be able to relate your chaos, whatever it was that your chaos was, is different from somebody else's. Single family homes could be chaotic. 5 or more kids is chaotic. How do you take care of that? A impoverished family is chaotic. What was your story and how does that relate to others and how they, chaos causes it?
Yeah, and everybody can say they had chaos in their home, right? Like everybody's got their stuff. So I'm not saying I had something so bad compared to other people. Like I'm never comparing it. But I do feel I have a little bit of a unique upbringing for sure.
Okay.
So growing up, my father was a biker. And if you know anything about the biker lifestyle, you know that brings a lot of chaos, for lack of a better word, and to keep some privacy of what really went down.
Okay.
Biker world is a lot of violence, a lot of drugs, a lot of craziness. So for a child in a home like that, there isn't a lot of calm. There isn't a lot of safety. There is this feeling of uncertainty. And to kind of cope with that, you have to find it as a kid. And you don't know how as a kid. So just the instability, lack of emotional connection, a lot of those things that come with a wild lifestyle, that's where I was. And food was there. I was always fed. I won't say I wasn't. I was always fed, and that food was my safety.
So, I'm trying to connect with this in a psychological aspect. Is it... Man, my mom's not here when I want to talk to her about this. I miss my dad. I wish I can tell him what happened at school today about so-and-so who said this or whatever. I need help with this homework. And no one's here. And the only thing that can make me happy right now is eating. You know what? I'm going to eat. Since no one's here to talk to me and calm me down or help me out, I'm just going to eat because that makes me happy. And right now I'm just looking for some type of tranquility, some type of peaceful happiness. Does that sound like, what kind of happens in some weird way?
Yeah, in a way. And I think there's also that old school mentality, of course, where we don't talk about feelings and things,
right.
Things that our parents' generation or before that grew up with. We don't talk about all your feelings. So in a way, there wasn't a space for that. It wasn't something taught to me of, hey, talk about your feelings. Let's talk about what you're experiencing. So I think that space wasn't there for both reasons, old school mentality as well as just that chaotic lifestyle that I was growing up in. And then I think to bring back the food piece of it, there were moments, because my parents were around, but of course they were also gone at times. So there was an emotional connection to food because when they did come home, my dad would show up with McDonald's or me and my mom would veg out in bed together and watch movies. So that connection and that quality time with them, there was often food involved. And that's something I didn't realize for a long time, but that was probably where some of that stemmed from, was like, ooh, this feels good. I'm connecting with my parents, but there's also McDonald's right there.
Right.
So it was part of that connection.
It's kind of like when certain people do drugs with certain people, their connection was the high. You know, it's also like, you know, we spoke off camera about, you know, what you're talking about right now, your dad and past times and everything else. When you establish a brotherhood, when you go through some shit with somebody, that's something that you'll never share with somebody else. Now, that doesn't mean you get along great with that person or you agree with their ways. But you know what? We went to Iraq together. You know what? We played 3 years in high school football together. You know what? We made it to the professional level together. So, you know, I can definitely see that as to how that would transpire that. And when did you catch on to, okay, this is why I'm eating like this? You know, because you went through life. I mean, I'm sure you might have went through some ridicule, you know, as a thicker girl. I'm sure you might have went through some issues, you know. But when did it really hit you that I have an issue eating for emotional reasons and I'm kind of seeing this now? Or was it just, I'm a little bit tired of being chunky and I want to get better? When did it hit you? When did that all settle in? And what was it that kind of influenced you to go that route?
It honestly was two separate things, right? Because the weight, I was unhappy with my weight. I was self-conscious. I was insecure, all the things. I wanted the weight off. I didn't realize the emotional component until after I lost the weight, after I went back to school for nutrition. So that's when I had an aha moment. It was way after I actually lost the weight and studied nutrition.
Oh.
It was more digging in afterwards, you know, applying what I learned through my journey and school and working with clients. And I'm like, oh, that's the emotional connection. That's what was actually going on. But as far as the weight loss, yeah, that I wanted the weight off in college. I was going into college at the heaviest weight. And
what made you want it off? Was it just you were fed up? Did you have some friends that, you know, damn, all these friends that I just made are a little bit more health conscious, a little bit more fit, you know, and they're kind of motivating me? Was it scrutiny? And you're like, I want to be accepted into certain sororities, certain clubs, certain groups. What was it that kind of pushed you into making that decision before you ever went to actual school to actually learn to become a nutritionist?
Yeah. I think it was social pressure. You know, I'm the fat friend. Boys don't look at me. They look at my cute friends who are little small cheerleaders. I'm not the one they're looking at. So I noticed the way people treated me. I had people comment about my weight. I wouldn't say bullies or anything, but I had a lot of negative comments. And then you just start to internalize that, and that becomes my identity all of a sudden. Like, I'm the fat kid. And I stuck to that for a very long time. And yeah, I was just so insecure in my clothes and looking at my body, constantly hiding in multiple layers of clothes. Anybody that's been overweight knows that deal. Yeah. You wear the black clothes and you layer and hide and hide and hide. And I was living that life. So I just got fed up with that. I didn't want to be that person anymore. I didn't know who I saw in the mirror anymore. Like, how did I get here?
Right. And then but all this happened while you were going to school for a different reason. So you went to school to become what? I remember when you told me this, I was like, who does that?
Well, and I don't know if I mentioned this at the time where I hit my heaviest weight. I was going to school for agriculture because I come from a farm, and I thought I'll go home and take over the family farm. But then I realized, hey, it's a big world. So I transitioned schools and my major and became a stockbroker.
Stockbroker. How was that lifestyle? How long did that last before? I mean, obviously it couldn't have gone too far because you became a nutritionist. You're also a dietitian?
Dietitian, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Nutritionist is actually offensive if you're a dietitian, but I'll let it slide.
Fucking correct me. This is not, we're unfiltered here. Put me in my place and tell me, hey, Wes, let's stop this shit right now. I'm a dietitian. God damn. My apologies. I would never do that again.
Gotta let them know.
That's like calling a Cuban or Puerto Rican or something, you know? But yeah, so you went to become a stockbroker. How long did you last in that until did you get sick of that? And then that's what made you want to chase becoming a dietitian? Or was it you kind of figured out, hey, this issue that I've been dealing with for so long that I finally kind of got it under wraps. I see where it's the underlining part of it. I see where it comes from. And now I want to learn more about that. Or maybe a little bit of both.
Maybe a little bit of both. I was a stockbroker for about a year, and I was completely miserable with it. Just not my passion. It sounded cool to say I was a stockbroker, you know, introduce yourself as that. Like, I'm proud. That's cool. But to go to work every day and despise what you do, I knew that was not the move for me. Like, to show up every day the rest of my life doing that work, no way. I just couldn't stand it. And I was only a year in and already hating it. Not for me. So I knew I had to get out of that career, and I thought, okay, what do I do? I've just basically started this career.
Right.
What am I passionate about? And the one thing that I could honestly say I was passionate about was my health journey. And I'm like, I lost all this weight. I feel so different. I'm so excited. Let me go to school and figure out what the hell did I just do? And understand it enough, the science of it on a deeper level, to be able to recreate that for other people. Because I had that feeling and I wanted other people to have it too.
Now, making that decision to transition at that tender age, first of all, I'm going to jump the gun and say you were what, in your mid-20s?
I was 23, I guess.
Okay, so you're still young, so let's call that where it's at. Plenty of time to redirect and so on and so forth, but that's a very difficult decision to make. You already committed all kind of money. You owe what the fuck you call it?
I don't know, because I don't
Annie
know.
Mae?
Fannie Mae.
Fannie Mae. You owe Fannie Mae, whoever that bitch is who keeps taking everybody's money. You owe Fannie Mae, you're in debt, or whether or not you paid it off, and now you got to switch gears, and you're doing it at a tender age. Walk us through that, because I know there's people out there right now, including, big shout out to my brother and other people who do this. When they go back to school in your 30s, that's tough. That's tough in many different ways. If you're going back to the actual setting, that's even tougher, because now you see all these youngsters and they're like, look at this old fuck, and you're like, I'm not even old, bitch. I'm only 30 something. Like, why are you calling me old? And all this, happens. That's tough. You got to rewire your brain to, hey, get back into this. We all know the concept. If you don't use it, you lose it. There's no difference between the intelligence as well. This is why you got a popular show that says, are you smarter than a fifth grader? And everybody loses. Why? Because we haven't done fifth grade educational shit as easy as it is forever, right? So it's a scary decision to make, but it's very motivating. It's very inspiring that you did that. Walk us through what you were thinking with that. Was there a fear factor, or was there more motivation? Did somebody step in and say, hey, you got this. Don't worry about it. We got your back. Go ahead and go do that.
Yeah, I honestly don't think I was scared at all, and I don't say that like
nice,
whatever.
Nah, that's cool. I believe
because
you.
It is a big thing, and I know a lot of people do have that fear to switch it up. But if you're in a job or in a lifestyle that you dislike that much, I don't think anybody should stay in it. Take the leap. What's the worst that could happen? You got to do it again. Who cares? I have to give my parents credit on this one. My mom's had many, many careers over her life, so I think I saw that. It's okay to switch because she switched so many times in her life. And then my dad was always supporting me, behind me. Do what you need. You got to go figure out your life. So he was never like, I don't think that's a good idea. So I give them credit for kind of setting that stage of like, go do it.
Right.
Figure it out. This is your life. But no, I really didn't have a fear, and probably because growing up how I did, you don't have a lot of fear anymore.
Right.
So yeah, anybody out there thinking like it's too late, it's not too late. Don't stay where you're miserable. It's not worth it.
But they also need to hear that you had a good supporting staff, that you had parents who were like, hey man, it's cool. Go ahead, redirect. We got your back, because some people don't have that. And whether or not you have a parent that's going to help you out, maybe some friends, maybe some siblings, maybe some, distant relations, with other people. But it always helps when you have that support system. And then, so, you've gotten this far, and now you're educated yourself. You went through the bullshit yourself, and you overcame it. You switch gears. Now you're really educated. You're about to go into this expertise. Let me ask you this. Do you think most people struggle with food, as in nutrition and the decisions they should make? Or are they really struggling with emotions? Sorry for the interruption, guys. But here's your friendly reminder. If you really want to show love and you're really digging this podcast as well as the other ones that I produce, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, push that like, and why don't you share this with a friend or family member? Appreciate all the support, and let's get back to the podcast.
I do think it's a little bit of both, because the way our food system and our foods are now, they are created in a lab to make you want them more and more and more, right? Now, if you're living this super clean lifestyle. That makes me angry here. Angry. And I know there's a question I want to ask you later on about that, but God, just hearing that is unreal. Continue on, please. Yeah, we'll when we circle back to it, I'll go deeper on that for sure. But yeah, I think the flip side of it is emotions. Just like I said with my story, it's Food is pleasurable. We do enjoy food. It does light up the brain. So, of course, it is going to become a coping skill at some point, an outlet, a tool, if you will, if we don't catch it and rewire it to something healthier. Even if it's healthy food.
Right.
If it's not food you need, it's still an issue.
Right. That's true. So let's talk some of these actual myths that we want to address, and whether they're myths or they're kind of unknown and you want to strengthen of why somebody should take this, use this, avoid that, eat this, whatever. Let's talk about the biggest one. So the biggest factor that determines weight loss or weight gain has been the rule of thumb that we all hear about. And I know how you feel about this, and this is why it's a great way to start this. How do you feel? I mean, you're a dietitian. You're considered an expert. This is your field. What is it about the myth or the truth behind calories in versus calories out?
It pisses me off.
Tell me how you really feel. Okay.
This pisses me off because, yes, I understand you have to burn more than you eat to lose weight. Like, I get it. But the body is not a fucking math equation. It's not. Like, we oversimplify that. So, yes, there is some basis there. But we have to look a lot deeper than that, because here's my thing that I always want to come back with for a super simple way to debate this. You can't tell me 300 calories from an avocado is going to behave the same in the body as 300 calories of a Big Mac.
That's right.
It's not true.
Right.
They are going to behave and do very different things in the body. So you can't tell me it's just calories in, calories out. All calories are equal. Just burn more than you eat. It's way deeper than that. What about your gut health? What about your metabolism? What about inflammation? I could go on for days. So that one pisses me off. And I think...
I love it. You know, it makes total sense. It does.
Yeah.
And then, so do you feel like the experts in your field are still pushing that, or are they now kind of talking like you are, or there's too many stiflers out there that do go by the math, like what you said? People are acting like, you know, it's all about the math part and not the hormones, the gene pool, you know, your DNA, everything, your lifestyle, sedentary, active, so on, so on forth. Are they kind of getting it? Do you think they're kind of fixing that? We mentioned Rhonda Patrick earlier. I think she's at the front line right now with all the great stuff she's spitting out. Do you feel like they're kind of fixing on that? Or are they being stubborn, like, let's say, Eric Weinstein, who calls out physicists and says that, you know, these physicists are too stuck on their math and this is our laws of physics. But the truth is that we don't know what the true laws of physics are. We're still figuring it out. Mm-hmm. Are you somewhere there with that? Do you think people are in your field are doing the same?
Yeah, it's funny because you started the question like experts. Well, who do you consider experts and who do you look to as an expert when you look for your information? Because I would say if we're talking, yes, experts, which none of us are, we don't know shit about the body. We're still figuring that out.
I like the honesty, yes.
But experts, if you will, yeah, I think that they understand the body to a deeper level than just oversimplifying math equation. I think it's the people who are not experts stay in that realm because they don't know the depths of the body. They don't know a deeper science of it. So it's easier to stay with the math equation.
Okay. So let me challenge you. Why do some people who eat healthy, for the most part, they make majority healthy decisions, yet they still struggle with weight loss?
A lot of reasons. So this could come back, right? It's all nuanced. This could come back to exactly the calorie thing. And I could say, sure, here's an example where it may apply.
Right.
You're eating healthy, but you're eating too much. Yep, calories are too much. You're not expending enough. So we could go that simple route, but I would still also look deeper if we check that. What about your hormones? What about inflammation? What about all these other factors in how your body actually uses the food? So you could be having the perfect diet and exercising, but your mental health and your stress is out of control. Guess what? That's screwing up your hormones, and your body is not going to behave the same as if you had that in check and you were doing all the right things.
Right. So in other words, it matters what you take in and how much you take in, but if emotionally or mentally you're not in the right place, you're not going to process things the way you should. You're still going to have not the effect that you're looking for. Is that kind of where you're hovering around?
Right. Yeah. Your mental health is going to drive so many mechanisms in your body based on what you're experiencing mentally.
And are you open like that with your clients when you speak to them about that? Is this one of the main things that you attack?
It is. It's a huge piece of it because I refuse to hyper focus only on the food with my clients because I think that does really emphasize the calories in, calories out, follow a diet, that kind of thing. I want to know, how do you sleep? How do you wake up? What's your mental state like all day? Are you stressed all the time? What do you do when you're stressed out? I need to know all those things because that is going to make a difference in what I recommend to you.
Right.
So I'm never just going to go that easy route of here's a diet, here's a meal plan.
Okay. Well, here's one that I I don't want to say I hold the deer, but everybody works different, right? Everybody's, again, calories in, calories out, what you eat, what I eat. We're all different. I'm big on the carbs. And this is a big debate right here, okay? Do you truly feel like carbs are demonized? And maybe demonized is a strong word, but is it righteous? You know, should carbs get more attention on the, hey, you need to avoid more of these more often than not? Or do you feel like that's been overly exaggerated in regards to like, oh, carbs are so evil for you, make sure you dodge them, so on and so forth? Because honestly, Sarah, that was one of the biggest changes in my life when it came to shredding down, getting, you know, I think I'm like maybe like 10% body fat. I think it was mainly the carbs. It was me focusing on my carbs, when I'm taking them, which ones I take. Are they slow burning? Are they simple carbs? They're fast burning. Still figuring it out, because, you know, here I am, and I know we're going to talk about creatine and other things. Here I am finding out that, and there's always an update. There's always a fucking update, dude. And a week later, 2 weeks later, which I love. I love because at least we're getting studies out there. Harvard this, you know, Cambridge that. Cool. Keep doing the studies. In this health world, fitness world, we should all continue studying because there's a lot of updates. With that said, when I started really paying attention to the carbs, it helped me out immensely. Even to the extent where I was getting away with certain carbs at night, late at night, fruits, because it was fruits. And I was trying to cut it off like at 9 o'clock, which to me is early, but obviously that's pretty late. And I wasn't realizing that if I passed just a certain amount of those fruits, like I had to make it a lot smaller, which fucking hurts, but I wasn't sleeping as good. And I had to watch a few videos. I didn't look it up. They just popped up on me. And I think Rhonda was one of them. And Rhonda said, if you're eating carbs closer to to falling asleep, your body has to process this food. And if you just spiked your insulin, it thinks it needs to get ready for some energetic boost, and it doesn't. And I wasn't going to sleep as deep as I should. I wasn't going to sleep as fast as I should. And I'm a weed smoker, so I go to sleep pretty easy. I'm very active while training clients. So when the day's over, my body's fucking dead. I've been beat up, everything, and yet I'll have problems. So I'm big on this. Yeah, this carb shit can be a problem if you don't address it and if you mess with the wrong ones. Where are you at with the carbs?
Yeah, this is a big one there where I think, again, it's so nuanced. And I love kind of how you unpack slow burning versus fast burning, because we lump carbs into like one category. Right. And that's just like, again, oversimplifying. So yep. I think we have to always go deeper. One, what type of carbohydrate are we talking about? Because people forget fruits and vegetables are carbs. We don't think that. We think bread and rice and pasta and all the starchy stuff, but fruits and vegetables are carbs. So to say carbs are bad, right, and just generalize it like that, yeah, I disagree, right? I want you eating fruits and vegetables. Now, when it comes to certain amounts and things like that, how are you using it? Are you an active person where that's being used for energy? Are you a sedentary person where your blood sugar is not even going to be stable enough to use it? You've got insulin resistance going on you don't even know about. So yeah, I think it depends how active you are. What's your blood sugar like? How are you using the carbs? So I wouldn't say carbs are bad. What type of carbs? Who are you? Because
based on the blood sugar, some people on low carb, they won't have the energy that I would have on low carbs, correct? Because of their blood sugar, their insulin sensitivity.
Right. You've got metabolic flexibility to factor into that. And I felt really well when I did like keto, for example, and just really cut the carbs and went into ketosis. I felt really good, but some people feel terrible. Right. So it's all going to depend on how good your body is at managing blood sugar and keeping it stable when you don't have the carbs coming in, or you do have the carbs coming in, because it has to find that balance in there either direction you go.
And even with everything you just said, how big is the difference between women and men when it comes to carbs? Like, do you think there's a bigger misunderstanding that women have for carbs versus men? Like, do women have to approach carbs differently, or is it still the same even playing field? It all depends on the human at hand and not the gender.
Gender is always going to play a role, in my opinion, right? So yes, I think women, we're going to handle it differently.
Gender roles?
We are built different. Like, that's just a fact. So I think somewhat still the same, but yeah, a woman's cycle is going to make a difference.
Okay, Sarah, let's stay on the topic of carbs real quick before we attack this Ozempic craziness going on. Carb-wise, sugar. Okay? You mentioned good carbs, complex carbs, slow-burning carbs, fast-burning carbs. You don't like how carbs get demonized because there's carbs in vegetables and healthy fruits, and you're 100% correct. But we do know that sugar, especially refined sugar, is I don't know. It's probably the biggest enemy. It might be enemy number one, right next to high fructose corn syrup, or anything else that's modified. But why is it that so many people get hit with the late night sweet tooth cravings? Like, not everybody's got the munchies like me. Why does it hit everybody? Is there something about our fucking mouth or our taste buds that just really want the craving of a sugar? Or is it really because that's how evil sugar is? And because it is, you had mentioned earlier, some things are made. They're literally designed, developed, produced to cause more hunger, to cause more yearning. I think MSG, am I saying that correctly? I think MSG does it makes it more flavorful, and it makes it where you don't get full as quick, right? So you can keep eating, right? Correct me if you guys want. I'm not positive about that. I have a dietitian here, not a nutrition. What is it about carbs, especially the sweet tooth, that hits us all at night?
Yeah, I kind of want to break that down into two things. Okay. First, before just talking on evening specifically, talking just about sugar, it is something that lights up the brain like drugs.
Right.
And some people will bash me for this, so throw it in the comments.
Bash away.
There's a lot of cushy recommendations out there, and I just that's the stuff that annoys me. Like, to be like, sugar's fine. Okay, sure, it is. Everything in moderation, all that's great. But like, let's look at the science where sugar does light up the brain. And if you compare it to like cocaine and these other drugs, it can light up the brain more. And they do lots of studies. I don't know if you've seen this.
Yes.
I know you're knowledgeable on all this stuff, like with the rats, and they give them sugar versus cocaine, and they choose the sugar over the cocaine, and they want the sugar, and they will buzz themselves and electrocute themselves just to get it. Like, they don't care.
No, I haven't seen that.
It's
wow,
insane.
really? Oh,
So
you gotta send me that.
Yeah,
wow, okay.
Yeah. So that's telling, if you ask me. That there's something going on in the brain chemistry, that sugar is lighting it up that much, that dopamine, that pleasure center of the brain, to really make us want it and want more. And the sad thing is, the more you feed into it, the more your body asks for it, right? You've got the gut bacteria calling out for it. So that's like sugar on its own. Now, you brought up the nighttime, which I think is a big one for a lot of people. I think that can also go two ways. One thing I ask people is, like, is this a biological thing where you didn't eat enough during the day? Because especially people who are trying to lose weight, we can skip a lot of meals during the day or eat just a salad and eat super light during the day. Well, guess what? That hunger is going to catch up with you. And a lot of times it's at the end of the day where you're like, ooh, I want something. Well, your body's kind of been suffering all day. That sugar is a quick source of energy, and your body knows that. Hey, sugar is going to bring the blood sugar up. It's going to be easy, quick energy to digest. Well, the body's smart, so that's what you're going to crave. I think the other side of it is the brain, right? Where we have this stressful day, we come home and things wind down. You have kids and they're finally in bed, or you had a long day at work and you're finally home and you can breathe. We come back to that comfort from food. And sugar is one of those, again, releasing dopamine when you have it. Ooh, that feels good. Finally, end of the day. So I think it can go both ways.
Yeah, because I was just about to say that. It sounds like you made it seem like sugar can be physically addictive and also psychologically addictive.
Yeah.
So the cravings are for both, really.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's, this is something I talk with my clients, but anybody listening, if that's you, question, did I eat enough? Like, start there, looking back at what did you eat during the day? Was it enough to sustain and kind of curb those evening cravings? And if that's all in check, you eat enough during the day and that's not what's happening, then look at your emotional state. What's going on when you come home and you start winding down and that craving pops up? What's the emotion surrounding that?
Wow, that's a lot to take in, but it makes a whole lot of sense. In other words, people just have to be more mindful before they make these decisions on what they're going to eat.
Tune into the body. That's what I tell people when these cravings pop up, whether it's sugar or not. Tune into the body. What's going on? Can you label it? Put a name to it. I'm tired, I'm bored, stressed, whatever. So tuning in, being mindful is huge. Mindfulness,
people. Mindfulness will take you so far in life. It ain't just for fucking eating right, just mindfulness. With that said, I have one last question about the sugar. So, or not the sugar, actually. We had mentioned twice already that there's things out there that make you hungrier. Like, there's foods that make you hungrier for more food. What is that? What are the foods that we should be avoiding? Obviously, there's a lot, but when talking about the ones that will keep you, let's say, hungry, like, okay, there's a saying that goes, when you eat Chinese food, you're full as fuck for about 30 minutes and then it all goes away and you're hungry as hell. I do not know what the explanation is. I don't know if there is one. I don't know if it's just an ongoing joke, but it is one. In real life, what foods are out there that cause us, I guess, to be satiated for the smallest amount of time, only to wake up with a huge hunger just 30, 40 minutes later.
Mm-hmm. I think this comes back a lot to blood sugar. This is something I love to look at, is the blood sugar, and how you structure food is going to make a difference in, is that blood sugar going up and then coming down dramatically? Because that fall being dramatic, your body doesn't like it to be low. It's going to say, oh, I need more food to bring it up, especially if it's not able to bring it up on its own naturally. So we look at that blood sugar stability and the foods that are going to cause it to be a roller coaster ride, those highs and lows, and having that dip be the hunger point. Think about those simple carbs, those processed carbs. You eat chips, yeah, it's not going to hold you over very long. It's a quick burn, it drops, and then you need more food typically to bring it back up. And this is where the big push for protein comes in and fiber comes in, right? If you're combining those foods, the protein and the fiber are going to slow down that digestion. Then your blood sugar's a smaller roller coaster ride. You know, it's not completely flat, of course, but essentially. So I think how you pair those foods makes a difference, but we're looking at more of the sugars, the simple starches, things like that are just going to skyrocket the blood sugar and then cause it to plummet too quickly. And that's going to set off hunger. So those simple, super processed foods, they're known for it.
Right. Well, now let's get into a harder topic. Okay. You know, it's like you've been foaming at the mouth for it. Tell us how you really feel about Ozempic, and is it helping people out, or is this really a backdoor problem that's going to become huge and blow up in everybody's face?
This is one I've been forced to talk about, right? Because here I am as a dietitian working especially with women who want to lose weight, and everybody and their mother's on Ozempic. So this is something I'm forced to confront because it's impacting my business and my mentality for how do we lose weight. It frustrates me, honestly, and I think I can say that from a place because of what I went through. I did my own weight loss journey naturally without anybody, sadly. But no medications, no fat burners, no detoxes, nothing. Like, I did it the real hard way, the true way to where it can last. And it frustrates me to see so many people taking, sorry for the lack of a better word, the shortcut. Mm-hmm. And I think that they're setting themselves up for failure.
Sorry for the interruption, ladies and gentlemen. But if you're really liking this podcast, as well as the others prior to it, please do not forget to hit that subscribe button, push that like, and go ahead and share this with some friends and family. Thank you for all the support, and let's get back to the podcast. So you think this shortcut is not allowing them to fix deeper issues?
Absolutely not. It's literally turning down the volume on food noise and your hunger. So cool, we turn down the volume. Now you're not eating and you're not thinking about food all day. Awesome. Great. What happens when you come off of it? It goes right back up, and honestly, the volume's going to be louder.
Okay, so Sarah, here's where maybe I'll ruffle some feathers, okay? It's not purposefully, but yeah, it is coming out naturally, okay? We've been talking about how much information's out there. We started the podcast by me asking you, are people having these issues with eating more so because of emotion, or is it because they lack the knowledge? Do they lack the discipline? So on and so forth, right? Most of it is lack of knowledge, but we have the information right here, right? It's in everybody's hand. It's in everybody's computer, laptop, so on and so forth. So it really can't be knowledge, right? Kind of, sort of, because you can look it up. So at that point, I feel like, and I know this because I feel your frustration, because I had a few clients when I was working at Lifetime Fitness who were on Ozempic. Mm-hmm. And I was, at the time, the controversy was happening. It was just stirring up. It wasn't like where it's at right now, where now we have a bunch of professionals, yourself included, who are calling out Ozempic for how bad it's going to become when you rely on that and everything you just hinted towards, right? So I feel like this is where we can't stick up for people who are making these decisions just out of laziness. This is where we can't, not you as a dietitian, not a humanitarian, not somebody who's, oh, these poor people. I'm not trying to be inconsiderate towards what somebody's going through. But if you're already in your 40s, 50s, happens to be that the 3 clients I'm referring to, that's where they were at, women, and you knew you can go about this in many different ways, but you chose this route. And then you see all the controversial things and you see all the professionals, to the extent, Sarah, where I was sending like pretty much Rhonda Patrick videos. I was sending other professionals, Andrew Huberman, whoever it is. And then these people will respond with, yeah, but that's not me because X, Y, and Z. Oh, but then, and then they'll send me a different link to what somebody reported, so in other words, I don't think they're in denial. I think they don't want to face the music, So with that said, how do we come down and tell people in a stern way, like, nah, this is not it, and you need to shake that and not be lazy because it's going to fucking hurt you worse in the end?
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I think they need to hear these messages more and more, and they're conversations that I continue to try to have with women who are either thinking about going on it or are on it. One, you look at the side effects, right? People are going blind from this. Like, you're going blind to lose weight. That doesn't make sense in my brain. But I think that there's just such a fear around the weight issues that they dismiss it. They'd rather lose the weight than worry about the side effects. And it's never going to be me that has that, this and that. But I think the other piece of that is what I'm talking about of, are you actually changing things? No, you're not. You're actually setting your body up to be in a worse state if you're going to come off of it. Now, the alternative is stay on it for the rest of your life. And that's terrifying to me. That's terrifying with all the side effects we're seeing. But I think they need to know that nothing is changing in a positive direction being on it. And I won't say nothing because, yes, they can come back and say, my labs are improved, this and that. Cool. Sorry, don't care.
Aside from not addressing the emotional part of it, where does it actually hurt them physically? So if they're on Ozempic long term, what is the actual physical downside to that? I know that if and when they get off of it, that's what we're discussing right now, and we're going to jump back onto they have to fix themselves before and after this. But what is the actual dangerous parts of the long-term use of Ozempic? How does it affect you physically and I guess psychologically, but with long-term problems?
Yeah, I mean, looking at physically, right, we're slowing down digestion. And a lot of people are suffering from constipation because of it, right? Because digestion is slowing. Okay, so you're messing up your gut health with that, right? If you got shit sitting in there too long, you're messing up your gut, number one.
Right.
But number two, you're decreasing the amount you eat so much, you're losing muscle mass. We've seen studies saying like 40% of the weight they're losing is muscle mass. Okay, we know about your metabolic rate, your resting metabolic rate. Well, that's declining now. Your metabolism is declining as you lose that muscle mass. So you're setting yourself up for a slow metabolism. So of course you come off the medication, you're going to gain the weight back. You've slowed your metabolism. You've destroyed your gut. You've also toyed with your brain and how it responds to food. So there are a lot of negative impacts, and we're seeing like bone loss and all of those things. But I think the big thing that people need to be aware of is that muscle loss is extremely dangerous. We know muscle's tied to long-term health, weight, your metabolism, you name it. We all know that stuff. So if we're not looking at how it's actually impacting the body like that, what are we doing?
Well, you've been in the field long enough, okay? So now you have a way better understanding for it. Would you say that you think we're going into a world where everything's going to be, shortcuts? In other words, health is going to be injected into you, being a certain way is going to be a pill that's taken, and basically the hard work is going to go out the window little by little. Do you think that's where we're going? Or do you feel with people like yourself and the Rondas and whoever else who is exposing this, do you feel like we can nip this in the bud and kind of slow it down and catch it before it gets worse?
Part of me thinks we're already there with the convenience of just anything in general, right? So yes, in terms of the health, I think we're going there. But you look at how we live. We love convenience, quick,
that's what I say all the time. Yep, that's it.
Drive-thrus. Oh, my Wi-Fi's down. I need this now. Like now. Everything's now. So I do think we're headed that direction. Do I think the voices like Rhonda Patrick and these big names that are speaking out about it are going to be enough? I don't know. I think there's people like us who have this mindset and will flock together, but are we going to be the masses? I don't think so, because look who we're up against.
Right.
We're up against Big Pharma.
Big Pharma, yeah.
That's a big battle, I'm going to be honest. So we can keep speaking louder, but there's a lot of louder voices and a lot of money to make that voice louder that we're up against.
Who, in your professional opinion, should be the only people really using Ozempic, and who should absolutely not touch Ozempic or anything like those? Because I know there's other name brands out there. And by the way, when we say Ozempic, it's just because it's the most popular, but I know I'm not going to say the name, Montora, whatever the hell all those names are. They're supposed to be better because, by the way, that's what some of my clients told me. Oh, I'm not on Ozempic. I'm on, and they said a fucking better version, some new whatever. Get out of here. So who should be doing it? Like legitimately, you need it, you could be doing it, you should do it, and you should only do it for so long. And who shouldn't touch it at all because of what their body's going through or what position they are in life?
Yeah, I think to be fair, sure, some people can qualify to be on it. I still have a little resistance in me because I think a lot of the things.
So you almost think don't take it at all. We can just fight through this. Say it.
Yeah, I mean to some degree I do because here's the thing: it was originally for diabetics. Okay, we've had Ozempic's been around forever. Like these weight loss medications were actually diabetes medications.
Right.
So if somebody has insulin resistance, they have metabolic disorder, those types of things where their health has gone pretty far down that path. That might be suitable for them to get them on the right track. Now, my caveat there is, are you doing the work while you're on it once again, right? So I'd say there are people in that metabolic disorder, insulin resistance, diabetes where, all right, let's put them on that, get them in a better place, give them that boost. Sure, let's give them a pass on that. However, who should not take it? Everybody else. Let's look at how do we correct the issues in the body the right way, give it the food, give it the exercise, the sunlight, the meditation, all the things that can correct so many of our health concerns that we're just running to a pharmacy for instead. There's so many things that we can reverse and prevent with just our own daily habits. So I think that a lot of people are not in that category of qualifying for it.
I think you should take your ass back to Indiana and fucking start growing good natural shit that people can take so that they don't fuck with this no more.
Would they come?
Yeah, you're right. Oh, you got to send it to them. Yeah. Let's talk about your next level of expertise. You primarily work with women, and you're very concerned and more ideal with women's health for many different reasons. So let's talk about women's health and things that they probably are not too aware of. What is something that women don't know enough about when it comes to their metabolism?
I think that women think that it's just, I'm set with this metabolism and it is naturally going to slow over time. That is the message that we've been taught and received for a very long time. There are a lot of women that go to doctors or, consult someone and they say, well, you're aging, your metabolism is just going to slow. And I think that that's just, we're not giving the right support and education there. Your metabolism is going to adjust with you. Now, if you're maintaining the muscle mass as you age, your metabolism is going to stick with you. If you're letting that decline, of course it's going to slow. So I think the big thing there is it's going to adapt with you versus you're set to have a slower metabolism because you're a woman, because you're aging, right? And we I don't want to say we use that as an excuse because as we age, it does get harder.
Hold on, I got a question for that, but go ahead.
I think I struck a chord there.
Yeah,
It does play a role, but that doesn't mean that we can't support it not being such a dramatic shift in our metabolism. It's going to adapt with us. So you're not just set up with a bad metabolism. You got to work on it.
Right. So on that note, I love to call people out when and men and women, both genders. There's only two. Women, in my opinion, sometimes they tend to, because of the emotional logic that they use, okay? The emotions get the best of them, and I like to poke at them where I say like, hey man, when that once a month thing comes around, yeah, I get it, men. Men, we don't understand, and I'm trying to get better at this, and I admit it. I'm trying to be more considerate and more understanding, more empathetic towards women in regards to what they go through, and I think I speak for a lot of men where we really don't understand this hormonal fuckery that's going on in you guys' body, because we really do not. The hormones go from it, and some men are like, what do you mean hormones? What the fuck do hormones even do? What are we talking about here? What is it about women's hormones that men should hear from a professional as yourself and learn more about, so that we can all be a little bit more understanding when it comes to women and the struggles that they have? Because I know I'm a tough dude. I'm paramilitary. I'm like, hey, fucking tough it up, suck it up and let's go back in. Let's go back to war. Go ahead and throw up and let's get this next rep in. Things of that nature. We can fight through this. It's just a certain style. I know it doesn't apply to everybody, but I definitely tend to overlook things that I would say, hey, you can overcome that. Hey, you can be stronger than that mentally. And I think that most of the times that is applicable. I do. But I do not want to disregard the impact that hormonal imbalances, or when your hormones are all craved up, going crazy, how that causes you to be moody, how that causes you to have these cravings, specific cravings, especially like when women get pregnant, you know, specific cravings. Teach us a little bit, us men out there who we you know, obviously the women need to hear about it, but us men, we need to hear more about this so we have an understanding as to why women are so different than men when it comes to these cravings, these emotions, these moods. Tell us about that.
Yeah. To put it in a simple way, I like to explain it. Again, I'm oversimplifying a little here, but men have like more of this flat line of hormones, right? Okay. You got your test, you're cool, you're cruising. Right. Women in the period of 28 days have multiple hormones going all over the place, and certain ones are supposed to rise and certain ones are supposed to fall, and then 7 days later they switch, and it's a chaotic warfare in our body of trying to balance that. So even in the healthiest, most balanced body, women's hormones are supposed to fluctuate differently every single day of those 28 days or whatever your cycle is. So take that into account, number one. But number two, then you've got the fact that our lifestyle has to support it being, quote unquote, in balance, our hormones be in balance where they're still fluctuating. So that can get very out of whack. So there is going to be a lot of ups and downs, quite literally, with the hormones. And of course, that's going to affect mood and cravings and things, because certain times of those periods of the cycle, you need different foods. We should be eating in a certain way based on where we're at in our cycle. So men are just cruising, having their steak and broccoli and rice, and their testosterone's just cool. Here we are, like, we need to map out, okay, the first 3 days of my cycle, I need to eat this. And then the next 3, like, we're supposed to be supporting our hormones to balance out properly while they're fluctuating. So, of course, there's going to be a lot of emotional roller coaster.
I've never heard that said like that. I've never heard that when your cycle starts, you should be eating different things during different times. And is there more science to that? Is there more details to that as to why? I mean, I'm sure every woman's different, but what is it about one part of the cycle that, let's say, you should be eating fruits and fucking whatever versus another part of the cycle you should be eating more meat? Like, how does that work? So we have a better understanding of that.
Well, one thing is, for example, like, okay, say your estrogen rises during a certain period as it's supposed to, and then it's supposed to gradually come down. Well, if your body is not bringing it down properly and getting rid of that extra, it's hanging out at a higher level than it's supposed to be. Okay. Certain foods can help bring it down and excrete it out of the body, right? Okay. So that's why certain foods are going to help during certain periods, because it's going to support increased production or getting rid of it properly.
Why haven't I seen like a chart to like kind of...
I have one. I'll send it to you.
Really? Well, ladies, you need to reach out, because that makes a lot of sense. Like, if I was trying to get the most gains and be the most athletic, and I found out, you know, hey, Wes, in order to get more powerful in that first week of the month, you know, you got to eat this. Most men are going to try to do it. I've never heard women talk about this in some like formatted way, like, hey, follow this structure. I've never heard that.
Which is interesting, because even for a woman during a certain time of her cycle, testosterone is going to peak around ovulation, for example. We can make more gains during that time. So there's so many things we could actually maximize by knowing that. There are women I work with and help them, map out the foods that help during certain periods. They tell me in the first couple months, oh, wow, I don't have cramps as much. I don't have as much mood swings. Like, we can actually minimize a lot of those symptoms that are said to be so normal. They're still going to have the symptoms, but they're not so unbearable like they are for most women, because we're using foods to help manage it. So there is a lot of science to it.
Okay. Now, social media always plays a huge role on fucking bad decisions. Yeah, you rolled your eyes to the universe right now. It's a sad realization, but it is. You know, we have all these internet experts, and we have all these influencers and gymfluencers and so on and so forth, or you're going to have a fucking, I don't know who the hell still following them, but you're going to have a Kardashian who's saying, hey, do this, and this worked on me for that. What's a huge, huge misconception that social media gives to women about fitness? Ladies and gentlemen, if you find yourself liking this podcast, please don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and why not share this with a friend or family member? We appreciate all the support. Let's get back to the podcast.
You kind of just hit on one that's really big, that grinds my gears, is a lot of people, I'm sure everybody's seen it, the what I eat in a day as a blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I don't give a shit what you ate in a day, because what happens is people, I'll say people, because not just women, We all fall into it. I see this girl who looks great and she says, this is what I eat in a day. And I think I'm going to take what she eats, eat it just the same, and I'm going to end up looking like her.
Right.
No, you're not. No, you're not, because we don't know what she does. We don't know what her hormones are. We don't know what her genetics are. So I think a lot of times people are putting out things of like, well, this worked for me. Cool. That's not going to work for everybody. But as a consumer, as a viewer, a lot of people fall into that because they're so desperate to look like someone like that.
Right.
But we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know what other work they're putting in. So I think there's just a lot of stuff like that coming out, and it's setting people up for being in that cycle, that diet cycle, that feeling of failure, like I'll never reach that, but trying.
Okay, Sarah, and when it comes to women, let's talk the supplements. What supplements do women really want to mess with that are more beneficial towards them versus other that, most men use, but women don't have to use? Like, what are some top supplements that women should use for whatever reason, and what are some that they should avoid for whatever reason?
I think there are some like basic supplements that we should be taking, men or women, right? Because, and I used to say, if you eat enough, eat properly, well,
Correct.
all the right foods, you don't need it. Well, our food system's changed, and I think that's
Correct.
not the case anymore, sadly.
Right.
So honestly, I usually start people pretty basic and then have them do blood work to know what else you actually need. I'm not one to blindly recommend this and that, but basic stuff, right? Like omega-3s, magnesium. Almost everybody's deficient in magnesium, and it's so helpful for so many things, right? Vitamin D. A lot of us, even in South Florida, are deficient in vitamin D, and we don't realize it. A good multivitamin, cover your bases kind of thing. So I always start people kind of with those basics. Unfortunately, I'm not giving some great, like, here's a secret. Because a lot of times I just think that's bullshit.
Right.
Get your blood work done. Get it done so you can actually have someone interpret that and tell you not just that you're low in this, but like looking at your optimal ranges to know what else you need to supplement.
What is the typical cost for one of those blood work, ordeals? Like, are they all the same, about 150, 200, or is it something way more than that?
Around there, it depends what you get, right? A standard basic test, you're looking at, close to 200. You start getting a little more deep, you're going to go higher cost, but there's websites and stuff. And like I have access to Asper Labs, at a discounted rate. So it's not just, it's too expensive, $200, this and that. Like there's so many sites and places like Going Through Me where you can get it cheaper. So don't let that deter you from getting it. I know a lot of people are like, I don't want to spend the money. It's better to know, spend the money, find somewhere that's discounted and figure it out.
One of the biggest up and coming, it's not up and coming, it's been around forever, but one of the biggest supplements that have had a major impact as far as notoriety and making this comeback, this strong comeback, is creatine. Mm-hmm. And I live and die by it. I love it. I fucking love the hell out of it. This is definitely a big shout out to Rhonda Patrick. She's been huge on it. She's delved so deep into it for what it does for you, brain-wise, as far as cognitively and what it does for you. But there was also a big topic about how creatine is has such a positive effect for women who are perimenopause. I'm a man. I don't know this shit. I'm trying to ask for the men out here. What is it that creatine does for women and why they should be on it?
Yeah. I love that creatine's getting a lot of exposure, and this is one of those that typically in that category I'd be like, creatine is like the most studied supplement. It is solid that it is helpful for us. One of the big things obviously is helping the muscle mass and growing muscle, and that is going to impact women's hormones. We know that. So maintaining and building muscle is going to help transition in that perimenopausal, menopausal stage by keeping that muscle mass strong and building. So I think not only that, but then you're supporting your bone health, your mental health. There's so many things that are coming out of what it is supporting, and I think women are afraid to take it sometimes, but we're starting to see it's helping with the hormones. So if that's something that's been studied that much and is going to help you support what you need to balance your hormones, what are you waiting for?
What are some of the real deep changes that people in general should go through before they ever try to address issues physically? In other words, we talked about Ozempic, we talk about eating right, salt, all these things, but you kind of have this ongoing story of when people kind of get out of relationships and they take a break, they're like, I got to find myself. I got to learn to love myself, right? Well, this is not too far off of it. What is it that you suggest that people should do psychologically, mentally, internally, before they try to make these changes physically? In other words, this will never transpire into a real change unless you handle this part first.
What kind of change are you talking about? Like health and fitness journey, weight loss, stuff like that?
I guess I just wondered that how effective would your health and fitness journey be if you're not right mentally, psychologically, if you haven't faced those, whatever it is, those demons, those fears, or acknowledge that, you're an emotional eater and this is where it stems from. We've talked about your story. How do people tackle that first if they really want real transformation?
Yeah, I think we are very blind to a lot of things about ourselves. So you have to really start getting aware of, like, who are you? Are you the type of person that eats at night? Are you, what are your things that make you you? And you have to be really honest with yourself about that, because if I tackle all these things of diet and exercise and all of that, whatever it is, without realizing I'm an emotional eater, or I restrict, or I binge, or whatever those things are that are me, none of that's going to work. And then it's going to fail. And I'm going to keep blaming the diet. I'm going to keep blaming the exercise, the trainer, whatever. I'm going to keep pointing the blame somewhere else because I don't know who I am and what my actual barriers are. So I think people need to either work with someone like me or someone else that they resonate with, where we can show you those blind spots. Well, this is what you're doing that's actually stalling your progress. It's not actually the diet that failed you. It's that you didn't see that this habit is holding you back. So I think being really honest and looking at yourself is huge. Do you know those things?
Do you think people are judging their self-worth based on the health decisions that they make in life?
Oh, yeah. I think it can go both ways. One of the big things for me in this journey that I realized was I'm not in love with exercise, right? Like I love
very few people who are.
There are people, right, that's just their thing, and I love that for them so much. I can eat clean all the time. I love to cook. Like that's my thing. That's easy for me. The exercise, I have to push myself a little bit. So I think you have to know that stuff about yourself. But for me, realizing I don't love exercise, but I do love myself. So my self-worth says I have to exercise. If I really love myself, that is part of taking care of me. So I can see how your self-worth can be tied to those things. And then the flip side, right? If I'm overweight, I don't have a lot of self-worth. And when I didn't have self-worth. And so eating a bunch of garbage food, I wasn't treating myself well. I didn't think a lot of myself. My confidence was low. So I think it can kind of go both ways.
Right. I mean, it makes sense, but I guess, some people need to hear that more so from a professional like yourself. What's some advice that you would give somebody who's stuck right now in some unhealthy trap of some sort? They're in a situation where they just cannot shake this unhealthy way of being. What's the first step or first couple of steps that you would tell them, that you would recommend them? They're not paying for it. They're going to get some free advice right now. What's some of the first steps that you would tell them to try to overcome that?
Get really, really clear on your why. Really anchor down into your why do you actually want to change this? Because you're going to have to keep coming back to that when shit gets hard and you give up and go back to old ways. You need to be really clear on that why is one thing. The other thing is something I'm all about is it's baby steps. Do not wake up on a Monday and say, I'm going to walk 10,000 steps, run 3 miles, eat broccoli and chicken. Don't do it all at once. One baby step is going to start that momentum that you can build from. Do that one step and let it be in place to where it starts to become part of your routine. Then add another and another and another and keep that going. Before you know it, you really enjoy this process and who you're becoming in the process. And then that's just your lifestyle.
That's great advice. It really is. And a lot of people need to hear this. And I'll leave you with this question right here. So what's one truth about health and nutrition that you wish every woman understood?
One truth. You are a whole body, and the body is doing so many things. We need to, one, be really grateful for that and stop bashing ourselves and saying all these negative things. But two, we need to remember that when we start to make these changes, it's going to take time. It's going to push your limits. It's going to test your patience. You have to trust your body. And the scale is not going to reflect anything for a while. You have to trust your body to eventually catch up to all the good things you're doing to it. And I think we as women separate our body and our brain, and like we're separating things out instead of looking at it as this one big machine that needs cared for from head to toe. Mental, physical, all the things have to come together, and it all takes time to see that change.
Sarah, that's amazingly wise words, and a lot of people out there needed to hear this, especially the women, who are watching this right now and paying attention to it. And fellas, if you know you got a lady out there, a woman, a significant other, a sister, whoever, family member, man, pass her on to Sarah. Tell them to hit Sarah up, Sarah Weiss. By the way, like, how can people find you? How can people look you up? What do you got going on where people want to reach out? People were reaching out to Dave Kraske about parenting and his, his specialty. Daniel, I'm about to produce his podcast, is coming out today. Daniel, by the time you see this, our podcast will be rocking, doing great. Addiction expert. I already got one of my friends to go to his men's health meeting. I'm always trying to spread love. I'm always trying to network. How can people network with you, reach out to you? What are your platforms? Where can they reach you at? It's
Weiss Choices across everything. Website, Instagram, you name it, Weiss Choices. Obviously play on my last name.
WEISSS. So yep. Weiss Choices. Okay.
Yep. Find me there. I've got, I work with men as well, but again, I specialize in women. I have one-on-one private clients. I have a group program for women because we need women support.
Right.
So I work with people in a lot of different capacities.
And you do it remotely. Do you do visits to the house, or they have to visit you, or is everything remote?
It's all different. If somebody's in the area and they prefer face-to-face, I love the face-to-face, especially nowadays because we don't do it a lot, but I have a lot of women who are outside of the area all over that work with me virtually.
Okay, but you are located right now in Boca.
I am in Boca.
Okay, so again, guys, anybody out there, if you're thinking, oh man, she's probably from Miami, I don't want, no, she's in Boca. So it's not that far of a drive. It's totally worth it. Or if you happen to be in the Fort Lauderdale area, a little bit closer, once again, very worth it, Sarah, you've been great. I mean, this has been awesome. I've always wanted a female to come in here and give us the female version of how women should approach things, because again, us men, we have a few flaws. We have a few flaws. And I know one of mine is I'm always trying to understand the female being better. I mean, I just heard the term perimenopause for the first time a fucking year ago. Like, I've never heard that term. What do you mean perimenopause? Doesn't that mean like before? What the hell is all that about? So this information has been so educational. It's been great. Guys, make sure you reach out, show some love, follow, spread the word and everything else. And by the way, everybody listening, she's the expert. She said all these great things. I just want to say from a psychological aspect, there's nothing like determination. There's nothing like it. Nothing will set that back. If you are determined and you have the willpower, sure, you're going to go against these obstacles. Sure, you're going to have your ups and downs. It doesn't matter, men or women, gain weight, lose weight, got off this med, got on that med, took this supplement, fucked off, whatever. Just stay determined. Like she said, you got to crawl before you walk. You can't expect the results fast. Stay determined and it'll come little by little by little. And make sure you're surrounded by the right people who will support you, not ridicule you, not give you temptations to do the wrong things. If you're on a fucking journey to be healthier, lose weight, gain muscle, whatever it is, but you're hanging around with 3 motherfuckers who are always drinking, eating like shit, and calling you square because of the choices you make, you need to find a new group. You can still love those people, but you got to hang out with them sporadically because your goal is more important. Stay determined. Don't let these outside factors affect you the way they affect everybody else. And social media is a huge factor that affects us. Stop following all these people and believing their shit. Go to the professionals. Go to the dietitians and everybody else out there who knows this stuff. Sarah, thank you so much for joining the podcast. This has been amazing. Guys, show your support. Please don't forget to subscribe. Send this to somebody and hit that like button. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.